All right. Fingers crossed. Everything works this stream. Let's just make sure everything is working currently. If you see, I was doing some debugging beforehand because things weren't working, but I think I got it now. We got excellent status on our stream. Fingers crossed everything works, but here we are. All right, so everybody, thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. That is insane. That's more than I ever thought I would get. I still can't really kind of wrap my head around it. 10,000 just seems like a pretty huge number to me, especially because I don't know. I don't think I'm anything special, but like, I guess you guys enjoy my stuff. Because I don't know. My stream, this is my first time streaming through the Mac since like a while ago. If you guys have been around the channel for a while, I used to actually do streams on the YouTube channel like 6 months ago. I try to do them regularly, but I couldn't get the Mac to like work well with streams, so I kind of switched to my desktop. I started trying to make it work, but it was never perfect. So this is my first time trying again. Let's wish me luck. Hopefully everything works. We got excellent stream health right now. Yo, hey Igor, thank you for joining. But all right, so I decided to do a little Q&A session that's live because of the 10,000 subscribers that I reached. So my goal this year was actually like, well, first when I first started, it was probably like 1,000, I think. I think I had written on my board that I wish I had 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Obviously, I got to that a little bit early. By the way, I'm gonna be looking down a couple times just to make sure my stream actually works. So we got to the 1,000, and I'm like, all right, 1,000 subscribers. That's pretty freaking awesome. Like, let's see what else we could do. I wrote down a goal of 2.5 thousand by the end of the year. And now here we are at 10,000, which is like ridiculous because I don't know. I'm just some random guy. Like I don't know why people enjoy me, but I guess I know some stuff, so that's why they want to join up. And then yeah. So I thought I'd do a little Q&A. I asked on Twitter for some questions in case people didn't join the live, so I would still have something to talk about. But I think it's going to be a mix. There's a lot of the questions on Twitter were a mix of like how I did YouTube, how I got started with coding, things like that. And I'm sure most of the questions here on the actual YouTube chat are going to be more Flutter related. So I'm going to try to mix it up half and half maybe. And tell me if the music is too loud. I think it should be a good volume, but you know, once again, I'm not experienced streamer, so we'll see. And I have a bunch of stuff ready, so let me show you. I have me pulled up when we go through the Twitter questions. I got the iPad pulled up, so if we need some deeper explanations, we got that as well. And let me set that up a little bit nicer on my side, so we can go into actual technical questions. And then we can go into questions about myself as well. What should we do first? Let's see the first question on the chat. So, what was your first language and how did you work with that before moving to Dart? Well, my first language was Lithuanian. Then came English. And my first coding language was Python, I believe. I think there was a course I had in high school, so it was like, what, 10, 15 years ago almost. And it was a Python introductory course, and that was my very first like taste of coding. But to be honest, I didn't actually like it that much. That's the weird thing. Like, I thought it was fun. We made some cool graphics that spun and stuff, but I didn't really enjoy that class too much. But it wasn't bad either. I also took a class called computer repair, and that class was something I actually enjoyed a lot more, where we messed with Windows computers and all that stuff. And I thought I would be a hardware guy, but here I am. And then, so I went from Python in high school, but I never really learned it too much. Then I started college. I decided to go into computer engineering. So there's this, I mean, I think you guys probably have heard of MATLAB. That was the next one I used. Then I took some introductory courses to computer science. So they were C and C++. Hey, Francesco, need to go, but I'll check later. All right, sounds good, man. Stream master, if you ask me, I don't know. We'll see. But then I did C, C++. Then my job and everything is in C and C++ as well. And then I started doing Android development. I had a little bit of taste of it my freshman year of college, with using just Java. Then I went into Ionic and like building HTML, CSS, all those type of websites. I started doing that when I was like about to graduate college. I think the year before I graduated college, I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to go to like get a real job and stuff. So I'm like, I gotta do something with my life. So I started learning. I'm like, maybe I could try to build websites for money. I started learning that, and then that led to building websites. I tried to build a social network website. That didn't work out, and then I decided to go to Ionic, and that one was okay, which is a different like mobile framework. And then I finally found Flutter, and then that's where I got to Dart and everything. Do you think Google would drop Dart in the future, as they've done so with so many other stuff? Here, let me do some Googling for you too. So here's when Dart was invented. Dart has been around for a long time, but not the wiki. Okay, I guess not that long, but Dart is 9 years old now. And if you guys have been following Flutter, have been just you working with Dart, you have probably noticed that it's literally just starting to grow. Like it's has so much more potential than it currently is at. And if it's been around for 7 years with minimal potential, I think now it's definitely gonna start picking up. And I really don't think that Dart's gonna be cut off anytime soon. Don't be nervous, bro. I'm not nervous. Come on now. These are my subscribers. Ain't nobody nervous. So I think Dart's definitely sticking around for a while. But let's go to some Twitter questions, because there were some good ones in here. All right. Igor, I know you're in here. This is a good question that I think I told you. I think you'll like to answer this one. Also, I see 2 Fuchsia questions. I don't know much about Fuchsia, but I think I've just been talking a little bit. Like, I've looked into Fuchsia a little bit, but I don't know much about it. But I'll try to see. I'll let you know a little bit. So, Igor's question: how did you manage to plow through at the early stages when all the work you were putting in seemed wasted? Did you keep the mindset there is a breakthrough point where it's somewhere down the line, or did you set a timeline? Like, I'll push until X, then I'll reevaluate. Let me tell you one thing. With YouTube, I don't think you'll ever going to get to a point where you're happy with where you're at. And especially at the beginning, it's kind of hard because you're putting out videos and not that many people are watching. But I think you'd like to answer this one, because let me show you my top videos in the last 28 days. Top videos of the last 28 days. How to make a timer app in Flutter. April. File structure for large projects. January 16th, 2020. This is the second video I ever put out. My first video was January 15th. This is the second one, January 16th. This is my last 28 days, so December of this year until July. Let me tell you, the first couple of videos, or videos on YouTube in general, have a lot of longevity. So I wouldn't worry about your first couple of videos not getting views. Just keep working at it. Videos on YouTube don't really go away after some time. They just keep getting views like time after time as as people discover your channel, they go back and look at your stuff. Well, hopefully at least. And I just say just keep sticking with it. Like, it might seem like they're wasted, but you realize these videos are going to be on your channel for forever. And whenever people find your channel, they're going to keep watching those videos. And you might think like, oh, it didn't get any initial views, but I think this video, let's go to this one specific one, how to make a timer app. Since published, you see how during my first few weeks, this thing got 500 views, which was okay in my time. But after that, the slope is a lot higher. So I wouldn't worry about the few videos at the beginning getting not as many views. I think there's another really good example for that. Get X state management. This one did good from the beginning, I think. But there's definitely more examples throughout my channel of this. Right here. Exactly. Look at this. This video was underperforming by a lot up until a month after. So you see a typical range from this period? Typical range was 460 to 660. So this video was underperforming up until 37 days after when it started going up. So just remember, it's a long run, not the short term. But one thing I do know about you is you have series. Series definitely perform worse. Like every episode that you put out is going to be a little bit worse than the previous one. And you can see that. Well, whatever. If you go to my channel, you look at the book club series I did. Like every video after the first one gets less views and less likes. So that's one thing that I would recommend. But also, I think they also gain you more subscribers in the long term. All right. Talk about Dart obfuscation. I've heard that topic before, but honestly, I don't know anything about it, so I can't talk about that one. How can we learn more Dart? I think the best resource that they have is literally the documentation. I went through this. Effective Dart? No. Language tour. This language tour is really useful. And like, I mean, you know, Flutter has great documentation. The Dart documentation is just as good. I go to this, like, especially like the constructors part. I go to reference this all the time. But if you just want to learn about the language, it goes through the basics, important concepts you should know, like what each keyword is, and like you can go through every single part, be able to learn it better. For example, I think one thing people might not know as much is about all the different constructors it has. So we have the constructors, and we have named constructors, which are great, but we also have initializer lists. Where is that? Initializer lists. We have a way to redirect constructors, constant constructors, factory constructors, and all sorts of stuff. So I'd recommend to learn Dart better, go through this, and also the series I got now. Flutter University goes through all the Dart stuff, but it's only 2 episodes in. Is iOS simulator working on M1? I don't know. I don't have an M1, but I think so. I think I've seen people talk about it. I'm sure it's something you could Google. MTech Viral has a new framework package for Flutter called Velocity X. Check it out and let us know. I've heard of it. I haven't had a chance to really take a look. Yeah, I know MTech Viral. He follows me too. He's a good guy. Other frameworks like Vue, React, Angular all have pretty well-defined structure for app architecture, state management, etc. There really isn't much for Flutter. Will Google ever publish something? I don't know about that. I hope they publish something. But also, I think this might just be this might be completely wrong, so don't take this one for exactly what I say it for. But I think best practices and all that, they change over time a lot. I don't know if, I feel like it also depends on your development style a little bit. Like I know a couple people that write code completely different than mine, but I don't see a problem with I think their code's good, but it's just overcomplicated. And I feel like there's a lot of debate on what a best practice, like which best practices we should use and stuff. So I don't know. I'd be a little cautious on Flutter putting out a best practice, but I guess it wouldn't hurt. So Ayushman Singh, who are you and why was this recommended? I'm the Flutter developer god, you know. Just kidding. I'm just a random Flutter developer, and I reached 10,000 subscribers. So thanks for joining. Thanks for clicking on the recommended video. Let's go through another Twitter comment. What made you pull the trigger on leaving your job? Do you value more the freedom and doing what you want than a regular paycheck? That's a good question. If you guys don't know, I really recently left my job. And by no means am I making enough on Flutter or on YouTube to even pay rent, but I just wasn't having a great time over there. I think it was a good job, but I have a lot more fun after working on Flutter stuff. And I had a lot more fun making videos, and I had a lot more fun engaging with people. I did it during the daytime. It was kind of like 8 hours of me just waiting to get that over with so I can get to the fun part of my day. And like I just don't think that was the way for me to do it. But I have changed my viewpoints a little bit. Before I thought it was like just the corporate world that I didn't like, but I think it was just that specific job that wasn't really for me. I've been looking at other potential opportunities, and I think there's definitely a job that I would actually enjoy, and those 8 hours could be filled with stuff that I love to do, and then anything after that is just extra. So do you value the freedom more than what you were doing? That's what I thought. That's what I thought before, that I did value the freedom more than a regular paycheck. But I think it was a little bit deeper than that. I think it was a problem with me not actually loving every part of the day. So yeah, that's what I got. What are your goals for this year? Since your goal for 2020 was 2.5K, guess you need to reevaluate. So one of my, I really like the topic of goals, because I think for me at least, goals definitely work. And I've been like learning a little bit about how potentially it's maybe shouldn't be goals, maybe you should be worrying about the systems. I'm kind of teeter-tottering about that, but I also think you should set your goals higher than what you think you can accomplish. So if you set your goal, for example, like a realistic goal I'd say would be 20K for me this year, right? And then I'm gonna work as much to make sure that 20K happens. But then I'll be probably satisfied if I get close to 20K, and that's it. I think the better way to do it is set goals that are a little bit crazy. So my goal for this year is 100K. Now that might be a little bit crazy. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'm going to work towards that. And hopefully I would end up a lot higher than I would if I set a smaller goal. I think you should do that. Just the one thing is, don't be disappointed if it doesn't work out, I guess. That's the key part, because if you set high goals and you don't reach them and it ruins your day, then you're kind of screwed. But set your goals. So maybe do this instead. This is what I've been always also thinking about, because you first heard about the 1,000 subscriber goal and the 2,500 subscriber goal. Set a goal you're comfortable with, Write it down in a secret place where you wouldn't see it, and then set a ridiculous goal. Then work towards that ridiculous goal of yours, and then be able to go back at the end of the year and check the secret goal that you have. If that was your like normal achievable goal, and I guarantee you'll blow like right past it. All right, Riverpod or GetX? I think that's a big question I get on my channel because my top videos are all on GetX. But if you guys comment on my stuff, you probably see the response that I use Riverpod. So which one to use? You're gonna hate this answer, but they're both good. Whichever one you want, whichever makes you accomplish more, makes you build more apps, use that one. The reason people like GetX is because it's simple. It's really easy to get started. The reason I personally use Riverpod is because there's a lot more safety, and I think it cleans up your architecture a little bit better. But to each their own, whatever you want to use, just go ahead and use that one. How do you get over imposter syndrome? I struggle with it. I don't think anybody gets over imposter syndrome. I feel like the biggest imposter right now, talking to what, almost 25 concurrent viewers. Like, who the hell am I? Like, I'm just some guy. Like, I barely know how. I don't know. Imposter syndrome never goes away. I think you just gotta put yourself out there, kind of just do it. Like, whatever happens, happens. The worst that could happen of going out and trying stuff is you're gonna fail, and don't be afraid of failure. It's not that bad. If you, for example, I put out videos, I guess that maybe that's a bad example, but putting out videos and they flop, and then I get the feeling, oh, maybe people don't care to watch my videos anymore. But then you just kind of, you're like, all right, so what? Like, time for the next step. I think that should be the same thing in life and whatever you do. All right, sure. Yeah, I'm getting too guru-y, but I mean, that's what I truly think. It just, imposter syndrome doesn't go away. I think even for people that have reached the top of their, become senior engineers or senior developers. I was a senior developer. I still felt like I didn't know anything. What would be your best tip to becoming a great Flutter developer? My best tip would be to get your fundamentals straight. Flutter makes it really easy for you to get in and start making apps that you think work well. And they might work like a simple to-do app. You guys know I love those. They will work. You can make an app that works without knowing good fundamentals in Flutter. That's kind of the crux, I think that's a good word for it, of it, is that it makes it so easy that you don't really need to know what you're doing in order to do it. I say focus on the fundamentals. Make sure you actually understand Dart as a language. This. Hold on 1 second. What was I talking about? Some guys start spamming. What was I talking about? Oh, how to best learn Flutter. So yeah, have a good fundamentals on Dart as a language. Make sure you actually understand what you're doing whenever you're writing something. Dig deeper, and you should be good. I think that's the biggest thing for me, is actually understanding what you're doing. And I think that's why I get a lot of that's why I think my job that I had, actually learning C and C++, since it's very low level, actually helped me out a ton with Flutter and Dart, because with C you actually want to figure out like, oh, what's happening in this memory piece, what's happening here and there, and that kind of helps you really understand like what's going on. And with Dart I had the same approach, kind of. Best state management for solo development. Just kind of the same answer I had before. Just whatever one works for you. If you're a beginner, maybe GetX is best because it's simple. If you're more advanced, Riverpod. Those are kind of my top two, but Provider works, Block works. They all work. Just whatever you want. All right. God, there's some good questions here. All right. Any plans to launch a full app this year? I'm actually working on an app. You guys want us to get a preview? Let me see. Yeah. Boom. I think you can see that up here, so I can see that you see it. Here's the app I'm working on. So you probably, if you're here from the beginning of the channel, probably remember the book club app I was making. Well, this is a better updated version of it. And a little sneak peek, but this is what I hope to put out this year, and it might look shitty right now, but it just looks. You don't know your worth, dude. You're awesome. Keep getting us. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Congrats on 10K subs. Thank you, thank you. A couple people said congrats on 10K subs. Are you for or against React Native? I haven't used React Native, so I don't know. My answer is, because I obviously use Flutter, so my answer is very biased. So I mean, I hope and think Flutter is the best, but I know when you want something to succeed, everything you look up online kind of helps you towards that mindset that it is the better one. So from what I've seen, it seems like it's the better one, but I have that knowledge that like potentially maybe I'm seeing all the different stuff. Maybe I have confirmation bias, that's what it's called, where you just keep confirming your own thoughts. Nacho, I already answered this question. You're a bit late. Just kidding, but check it out after. I think it was a good answer. All right, Francesco, what can you say about your best video? Would you have thought it would be a success from the start, and what do you think have been the factors to determine its success? I'll give you my top couple successful videos and why I think they were successful. Would you have thought it would have been a success from the start? What do you think are the factors that determine the success? All right, so we go to videos, ranked by views. This one we can count out because this one actually, if you saw the last one, I did some advertising for this. I was trying out some Google ads, so these are not natural views, so I'll count that one out. My top viewed video. You'll see a lot of these showing up in my top videos. They're definitely GetX videos. I think I know why they're my top videos is because nobody else was making videos on this, even though it was one of the most popular packages on Flutter. Personally, and I saw there was some controversy with GetX as well. But what I did is I just decided to look at it as just a piece of software, just what it was doing. And I guess people resonated a lot with that, and they thought that they should watch it. I don't know. It was kind of one of the references of where people should watch it. And it got featured on the GetX documentation and as well as Flutter. So it kind of makes sense that it has the most views. Now, the one that's kind of surprising is deploying to Flutter App Store and Flutter Play Store. These two videos have started growing a lot recently. Now, this one, I think it's also a topic that maybe not a lot of people cover. It's kind of a complex topic to cover in a video, so I think that's why they became popular, and I think it kind of started up recently. So maybe towards the end of the year, people start deploying more apps to app stores. Maybe, I don't know. One thing I do focus on how to make videos popular is not popular, but get more views is focusing on the SEO of videos. So you'll see, I was doing this before. I don't know if this is necessary anymore, but the title, make sure it's a clear title of what's going on. Thumbnail should be clickable, and your description should have the keywords in there that you want. So Play Store, release, production, launch, beta, testing, release process. You see there's a lot of keywords in here that would make sense. And then these tags, I don't know if they actually do anything, but put those tags in just in case they do something. And then these 2 videos, I don't know. I like to think that I'm good at explaining things, so that's why they got a lot of views. But I'd like to break it down into very simple terms, because that's how I learn. I have to simplify everything by a ton in order for it to get it to work well. So I'm guessing that's why it worked. But sometimes with YouTube, you just kind of throw stuff out, see what happens, and you just work with it. All right. I use React Native, and from my perspective, Flutter is better, but I'm biased too. All right. Well, at least you've used both of them. Gotta jump in a meeting. Was a pleasure being here. All right. Thanks for joining, Igor. I would suggest a content that I'm interested, of course. Build a full simple Dart Flutter app without Firebase for all the platforms and adaptive web, Android. Serious like that. I'm sure I'll do it, but what type of app are you thinking? I feel like this app suggestion is the key part, because I am building something that is adaptive. Like technically, I have a video on like responsive layouts or something in here. That technically is an app built for all of them, and it's responsive. But the fun fact is that 21 people watching and 22 likes. What a great content, man! Thank you for joining, and thank you for liking, everybody. I really appreciate it. I knew you from GetX, to be honest. I don't blame you guys. Like, GetX is. I still think GetX is fine. The one thing that kind of scares me now is it just keeps piling on stuff onto the GetX, which is fine. I don't see a problem with it personally. So there's some people that say that, oh, it's becoming too much of, like, you can't be good at all the things without being, like, you can't be doing everything good, so just focus on one thing. But I mean, why not? If there's a lot of people working on it, I think it could be good in all parts. But the main thing I think lacking is, with a lot of new stuff coming in and stuff keeps getting piling on onto what GetX can do, I think the documentation needs to step it up like a lot. Hey, I'm planning to start a YouTube channel this year, maybe after 2 to 3 months. How do you plan on which topic to make videos on? That's the hardest part, actually, kind of thinking up a topic that people would actually enjoy and people actually want to see. I think that's probably the hardest part of making videos, is finding the right topic. Because once you have the topic, then it's just execution, right? But how do I find a topic? I think a lot of it has to do with what I'm working on currently. For example, I have another RiverPod video coming out at some point in the next month or so, because I've actually been working with it a lot, and I figured out a way to, I think, simplify for most people, and I think that would be helpful. So kind of stuff that I'm interested in. Second, just kind of doing some research on Flutter overall, like new things coming out. Maybe things just aren't covered as much. For example, one of my friends, Robert, he created a video on the new snack bar stuff. Like, that's a great video in my opinion. And then just comments and whatever people want to see. That's the next one. Why is Flutter free? I mean, Google search is free because businesses pay Google for search engine ads. So why is Flutter free? Are there any strings attached? Flutter is just open source. So it's just like a language, I guess. Most languages are free. I guess Flutter is a framework, not a language. Dart's the language. But I mean, people probably wouldn't use a paid framework or language, so I feel like if you're doing that, it kind of has to be free. But I'm sure they're gonna make some profit somehow from it. All right, some Twitter questions. Let's see. Robert, that's my boy. Writing blogs, videos, apps, etc. What do you want to put most of your time in that you believe will yield you the most value for your effort, be it money, reach, or whatever? All right, so you see my comments pretty funny. Spending more time asking you about providers. He's been teaching me a lot, so shout out to Robert. Thank you. I think so. I think I just like making things. I like making things that people enjoy, that people will use. So I'd go with videos and apps. I think I enjoy videos a lot more than creating vlogs. Writing doesn't come as naturally to me. I guess videos don't come as naturally to me either. It's just something I started doing, but I like the whole scripting, making it make sense, trying to break it down so that most people can understand it. I like that part of creating videos a lot. Obviously, I think I could get better at talking, being a better speaker, but I'm working on that. But I really do enjoy the process of creating videos and like thinking of topics, how to explain it better than anybody else has explained it, breaking it down a lot. But I also really like apps. Like you saw the app I'm working on. My goal this year is try to release, well, at least that one app for sure. Release that to production, but I think I want to release a couple more, like even if they're simple apps, even like a to-do app, something like that, put my own spin on it, maybe something that I could do in like a couple weeks and try to see how many of those I could release just to gain credibility, and just to be like, oh yeah, this is my app on the App Store. I actually have a plan. Let me know in the comments right now what you guys think about this. But right now I'm a bit busy, but in the next month, 2 months, maybe 3 months, I'm thinking of starting this big project up. So I want to call it, I'm not going to tell you what I want to call it yet, but basically we just create a big community. We have a Discord group where people are pretty active, and there we just create apps. So we would focus on stuff to make sure our architecture is great. Focus like on architecture, we'd focus on creating reusable code. So for example, let's say we create a to-do app as a community. We take the authentication part of it and create a little, I'll call it a package, but like kind of a contained code that we just copy into a separate app that we go to. So like people can work on different parts of the app, on different apps, and you could kind of choose what you want to work on. Obviously, we'll start off slow with one because I don't know if I'm capable of maintaining that many projects, but we can kind of set up a bunch of projects for stuff people actually want. So I'm thinking we'll start with something basic because you guys know I love to-do apps, even though people hate on it, but we'll create a to-do app that is very good architecturally, and they'll have like authentication and stuff, things like that, and we'll build it together. I'll make sure that we build it in a good way. I'll try to maintain it the best I can. Hopefully bring some more people on to help maintain, and then we can build up separate apps. I think a lot of people want a shopping app. So we'll create like a general shopping app, but we'll actually deploy these apps and see how they do. I don't know. And it'll be like a community hosted, open source app development thing. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Personally, I am interested in the whole process of an app built with Flutter, using the interesting parts of the framework, that is to make an app for multiple platforms, programming one time only. Looking around, I didn't find anything like that. I noticed many others on Reddit Flutter asking for this. For example, such an app could be a very simple finance manager. So I think you probably haven't seen them. Let's see, hold on. 10 of many. I think that's what I try to accomplish with this playlist right here. This playlist, we literally go through every single part of creating an app, like even launching it, even setting up CI/CD. Now this app is a little bit more complex than what you're talking about, but we literally go from planning an app to designing the app in Adobe XD to setting up a GitHub project for it, building a login, then all the code and everything that goes with it, to finally deploying it and everything. I think that's kind of what you're talking about. My dad's here. What the heck, man? Come on. Embarrassing me. All right. Do you share your YouTube earnings? Sure. Here's my earnings for all time. 540 bucks in the past year. So there you go. Not too much, but I mean, it's nice to have on the side. All right. Do you consider making a full app with GetX, like something that does network calls? So like I said, I don't really use GetX as much anymore. I really prefer RiverPod, so I don't really see myself building a complex app with GetX. But I mean, who knows what the future holds? Maybe. Want to ask a question about iOS is working on M1 chip. No, I saw that question. I answered it. I don't know. I don't have an M1 chip Mac, but I think I saw some people posting about how it does work. Your favorite package for Flutter? So, I mean, I'm just gonna keep biting down on that thing, that RiverPod. I feel like it makes things a lot simpler. Once you get to know how to use it, it's just your code becomes so much cleaner and just so much more easy to handle, and I think. All right, next question from Twitter. Where do you get inspiration for the content you create? And working for yourself, do you feel that you need to create a strict schedule to be productive, or it works out naturally for you? I kind of answer that. Inspiration for the content you create is kind of whatever I'm working on, whatever I find interesting, whatever comments I get, stuff like that. And figuring out the idea for a video is kind of the hardest part of the whole thing. So once you got that, it's just execution. And working for yourself, do you feel you need a strict work schedule to be productive, or it comes out naturally for you? I mean, I set a schedule. I like to schedule my time off to when I should be doing stuff, when I shouldn't be. But it kind of just, I don't know, it happens. I just do stuff that excites me. And at this point, the whole working for yourself is kind of just doing what is fun for me. So it's kind of just, I don't know, just, I guess it kind of come naturally, but it's like asking people, like, do playing video games, like this video game streamers, does it come naturally from you? You're like, I don't know, I'm just having fun, you know? So kind of. All right. Do you use hooks? I mean, RiverPod with hooks. I did, but I don't currently. I think the one thing about RiverPod is it is a lot more complex. But once you figure out a way to do it, remember how I said whatever works is probably the best solution. So with RiverPod, even though it is a little bit more complex, there's multiple ways to do like the state management of it to make it work. So I found a way that works for me. It doesn't use hooks. I actually kind of like using the consumer thing because you know exactly what's happening and where. But hooks is fine too. I mean, it technically makes your code more simple. Difference between two dependencies, one is version specific and one is blank. I answered this in the tweet, but the blank one goes to the most current version. If you specify the exact version, it uses that, so it's a lot safer. Wow, someone said iOS simulator is working for M1, so whoever was asking that, there you go. How did you get into Flutter? So I started with I was about to graduate college. I'm like, oh crap, I don't need to find a job, and I'm gonna have to work from 9 to 5 and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know if that's what I want to do. Turns out like I might be okay with it, but that's besides the fact. So I decided, I'm like, oh, I gotta start doing something. So I started building websites using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all that. And I tried to build a social media website, which is, I don't know if you've tried to build a social media anything, but that's one of the hardest things you could try to build. So that didn't work out. Well, I got it working, but I ran into some problems with multi-threading and stuff like that, and that was a little bit above what I was comfortable working with. So I'm like, I need to go learn some more. And then I went back and started app development because app development is, I think, slightly easier than web development. There's just less moving pieces, I guess. And I started working with this Ionic framework, and the Ionic framework, it worked well. I built whatever I was trying to build with it, but I never got like fully into it. And then I saw the Flutter release video when it was still in beta, and I decided to give it a shot. And I'm like, oh, Google, I like Google. I like the way they do software. Let's just give it a shot. Let's see what happens. And like the minute I started using it, I'm like, this is nice. Like, let me try to let me keep using this. And I'm like, I'll keep using it until I find a problem that it doesn't solve. And I have yet to run into, okay, never mind. I've seen some things that don't work on Flutter, but for me, my personal projects, it can do everything that like even native development can do. So just seems like the right solution for me. For a third time, what's your favorite Flutter package? I answered it. I said RiverPod. Come on. Have you ever used any other cross-platform frameworks? I used Ionic. So right before Flutter, that's what I used. Do you use Screen Util for responsive design of Flutter to handle different mobile screen sizes? I just used Layout Builder mostly, and then I know there's some packages that help you with responsive layouts too. Besides your channels, what others would you recommend? So the video coming up next Friday is actually about that one, but I'll show you guys here too. If it's for Flutter specifically, you guys should know this one. Riso Coder is probably the most professional, like technical channel, but his videos, I think they're really good. They're actually what sometimes I use to learn my own stuff. And you'll see I was learning about state notifier and RiverPod. I definitely, freezed state management overall. I've definitely watched a ton of his stuff. They're very, very good videos. And my next favorite is probably Robert. If you guys don't know about him, his videos are amazing as well. I probably watch every single one. He breaks them down to like 10-minute, like less than 10-minute sections, and they're very professionally done. If you've watched Fireship, his is a similar style. It's really nice. Definitely recommend him. And then there's Fireship, who's absolutely amazing, but it's not just Flutter. It's kind of Firebase as well. Fun with Flutter. That's another big one for me. This RiverPod series really kind of shows you how good RiverPod is and how it could simplify things. What else? Flutter Explained is good. I've definitely learned a bunch of stuff from them as well. Who else? Plow Dev. The Flutter YouTube channel itself. This is an underrated channel, I think. Johannes Milke, also my recommendation. Let me check that one. I actually haven't heard of that one. Johannes Milk. Oh damn. Well, there you go. There's another good. Well, I guess I've never watched it, but he's in a RiverPod too. See, I'm telling you, it's good. I'm gonna have to check this out. I don't think I've seen this channel before. Man, those are my top ones. All right. I think this is the last question from Twitter. The future of Flutter. Answer, I don't really know, but I'll give you my best guesses. So same answer here. I have no idea. You know, like a lot of people are scared of the Google like not supporting Flutter as much anymore, or not supporting as much, but potentially canceling Flutter like they've done with other projects. And I don't think that's gonna happen. I think there's a point where it's like become too popular of a package, too popular of a framework to cancel. There's no reason for them to cancel. Like, I feel like at this point, why would they cancel instead of just letting the community take it forward? You know, even if they want to stop investing money into it, just let the community take care of it, and I think it would still keep growing. Now, people sometimes say like, "Oh, they canceled Google Music." Like they're like, that's really big, right? But I disagree. I don't think Google Music is as big as Flutter is right now in terms of the niche it's in. Like, Google Music was never anybody's. If you talk about streaming services, you're thinking Spotify, you're thinking Apple Music. You're not thinking about Google Music or Tidal as a top 4. You're not thinking of Amazon Music, right? There's literally just 2 players in there. Google Music was even lower than Tidal and Amazon Music, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me on that. But Flutter is literally React Native, Flutter. Those are the 2 options. That's like to cancel that would be a lot greater scale. And if you go to GitHub right now, top or repositories with most stars on GitHub. Check this out. Flutter is number 16. It's above VS Code. It's above Linux. It's above JavaScript. Like, I don't think it's going to be canceled by any means. And a lot of these, by the way, a lot of these are books as well. So you don't know JS is like a book or some other stuff. And they're not actually frameworks or anything. So I think it's number 5 or 6 on frameworks as well. Hey, NerdPie, thanks for joining. Thank you for the 10K. All of you guys that subscribed, thank you so much. I think Future of Flutter is banging. It's going to be great. Hopefully. I think once Flutter Web comes out to stable, if they solve all the issues that they have been meaning to solve, they've been planning to solve, and I think we're going to do just fine with Flutter, and I definitely think it's going to be one of the... If Flutter Web becomes stable and people actually use it and it works well, I really don't see it not being the top choice until something newer comes out. So yeah, that's about it. Did I miss any questions here? Let me know some more questions if you guys got any. How about, and I got one question for you. What types of videos do you guys want to see coming up in this next year? I got a lot of them planned, but I definitely want to know what you guys want. Any thoughts about being a Google developer expert in Flutter? I mean, that'd be pretty awesome. If I was a Google developer expert, that's something that I would definitely would like to be. I think Google developer experts, they're kind of like, you could trust them, and that's the nice thing. Like, if you're talking to a Google developer expert, you're like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. Like, I could trust his content. I could trust whatever he's putting out. And it'd be nice to be a Google developer expert, personally. And I think if whoever is a Google developer expert, that's really awesome. Which architecture state management do you currently use in your projects and their pros and cons? So I use Riverpod. For my architecture, I created a video called Flutter File Structure for Big Projects. So I created a video back in the day of a very similar video, and this was like an update video of my current file structure, and it's pretty similar to this. It's almost exactly this. So this is what I currently use with Riverpod. What else? Will increase the number of packages used in Flutter make the app slow? I think it will technically. I don't want to be wrong on that one, but I think technically it would make your app a little bit slower. It definitely make the size of your app a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the speed, but it'd definitely be a little bit bigger. All right. I think that's... Oh, do you know much about Fuchsia? So there was 2 questions about this. I mean, short answer, no, I don't know much about Fuchsia. But I know that it is a potential operating system that Google is working on. And some people are predicting that Flutter was made to work with Fuchsia. And for basically Google to own the whole like ecosystem of what a computer, mobile app, anything is. So with Flutter, you'd be developing for Fuchsia. Fuchsia would use Flutter somehow, and then together they'd just be like the biggest thing out there. But I don't know. Fuchsia hasn't even been released yet, so nobody really knows that much about it. Or maybe it has been released, I'm not sure. But it's definitely not big yet. I hope maybe that that announcement that you guys saw, some people are saying that potentially they could be talking about Fuchsia here, but I don't think so. But I do hope that they talk about Flutter Web being stable here. That'd be awesome. Make video on generator functions using yield. I'll write that down, actually. That's something that I personally have to explore. Oh, another answer to the question of how do you think of videos to make? Stuff that I don't know. That's a big one. Stuff that I don't know how it works and I need to learn. Making a video on it, it's going to help you learn it a lot faster. Generator function using yield. That's noted down. We'll make sure to do it. Let's see. Boom. I don't know how soon it'll happen, but something I'm definitely gonna try. I'm learning React. Should I pick up React Native with it? You came to the wrong channel. No, use Flutter. Come on. But realistically, I'm sure the transition from React to React Native would be a lot simpler. But I also would say that the transition to Dart isn't hard. Like if you know JavaScript very well, you'll pick up Dart pretty quickly, and you should be able to make Flutter apps pretty quickly as well. Were you working as a Flutter dev in corporate? Nope. I was working in C, embedded C, and C++ systems. I think that's kind of what helped me be able to explain Flutter topics relatively well, is because I think I really like to break down the topics into very simple terms. With C and C++, you kind of need to do that in order to have successful software. Like you need to understand what's happening with the memory. You need to understand how your operating system's working and all that. And with Flutter, you kind of don't in order to make an app, but I kind of put that on myself to make sure I actually understand what's going on. I think that helped me. Can you give your thoughts on Flutter installer made using Flutter? Flutter installer, I don't know what that is. Flutter installer. Ah, it's your own thing, huh? Flutter installer. Interesting. Well, I'm sure it's amazing, but I haven't used it. I'll take a look afterwards. But all right, I think that's it. Thank you everybody for joining. Banner ad above me. Read my previous comment. What was your previous comment? I want to contact you personally for some challenging UI we made in JavaScript for Ionic V1. Now I got to do the same using Flutter. I mean, go ahead, sure. I'm on Twitter. You know where to find me. I mean, personally, I'm not amazing at UI. I mean, you guys have probably seen that. I kind of like the backend part of it, so I don't know how I would do a challenging UI, but I could let you know what I know. personally, I like to stick to UI is definitely an important part of everything, but I really like to stick to the back end kind of stuff, the algorithmic sort of things that kind of like a puzzle to me. I like to solve those type of problems. But yeah, all right. I think that's about it. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for 10,000 subscribers. That's amazing. Let's see what we could do in 2021. Let's see how many subscribers we get. How many... The subscribers isn't really the most important part for me. It's kind of just the whole community working together and everybody being able to communicate with you guys, being able to do cool stuff, being able to learn a lot from you guys. And I think that's the most important part. But thank you for an amazing year. Thank you for 10,000. You guys have changed my life, that's for sure. I don't think this year could have gone any better. I don't think my channel could have done any better. It's honestly just all amazing. It's been wonderful for me, and hopefully I'm able to provide some good stuff for you guys as well. And hopefully I keep providing good stuff and it keeps getting better and better, and you guys learn more and more, and we're going to become the best Flutter developers, or maybe in the future we'll become overall just developers. Who knows? All right, thank you, and see you next Friday on a new video. Bye bye.